Chapter 11. 60 seconds. That's how long we're required to stand on our middle circles before the sound of a gong releases us. Step off before the minute is up, and landmines blow off your legs. 60 seconds to take in the ring of tributes, all equal distance from the cornucopia. A giant golden horn shaped like a cone with a curved tail, the mouth of which is at least 20 feet high, spilling over with the things that will give us life here in the arena. Food, containers of water, weapons, medicine, garments, fire starters. Strewn around the cornucopia are other supplies, their value decreasing the farther they are from the horn. For instance, only a few steps from my feet lies a 3-foot square of plastic. Certainly, it could be of some use in a downpour. But there in the mouth, I can see a tent pack that would protect from almost any sort of weather, if I had the guts to go in and fight for it against the other 23 tributes, which I have been instructed not to do. We're in a flat, open stretch of ground, a plain of hard-packed dirt. Behind the tributes across from me, I can see nothing, indicating either a steep downward slope or even a cliff. To my right lies a lake. To my left and back, sparse, piney woods. This is where Hamish would want me to go, immediately. I hear his instructions in my head. Just clear out. Put as much distance as you can between yourselves and the others, and find a source of water. But it's tempting, so tempting when I see the bounty waiting there for me. And I know that if I don't get it, someone else will. That the career tributes who survive the bloodbath will divide up most of these life-sustaining spoils. Something catches my eye. There, resting on a mound of blanket rolls, is a silver sheath of arrows and a bow, already strung, just waiting to be engaged. That's mine, I think. It's meant for me. I'm fast. I can sprint faster than any of the girls in our school, although a couple can beat me in the distance races. But this 40-yard length, this is what I'm built for. I know I can get it. I know I can reach it first. But then the question is, how quickly can I get out of here? By the time I've scrambled up the packs and grabbed the weapons, others will have reached the horn, and 1 or 2 I might be able to pick off. But say there's a dozen. At that close range, they could take me down with the spears and the clubs, or their own powerful fists. Still, I won't be the only target. I'm betting many of the other tributes would pass up a smaller girl, even one who scored an 11 in training, to take out their more fierce adversaries. Hamish has never seen me run. Maybe if he had, he'd tell me to go for it, get the weapon, since that's the very weapon that might be my salvation. I only see one bow in that whole pile. I know the minute must be almost up, and I'll have to decide what my strategy will be, and I find myself positioning my feet to run. Not away into the surrounding forest, but towards the pile, towards the bow. When suddenly I notice Peter, he's about 5 tributes to my right, quite a far distance, so I can tell he's looking at me, and I think he might be shaking his head. But the sun's in my eyes, and while I'm puzzling over it, the gongs ring out. And I've missed it. I've missed my chance. Because those extra couple of seconds I've lost by not being ready are enough to change my mind about going in. My feet shuffle for a moment, confused at the direction my brain wants to take, and then I lunge forward, scoop up the sheet of plastic and a loaf of bread. The pickings are so small, and I'm so angry with Peter for distracting me that I sprint in 20 yards to retrieve a bright orange backpack that could hold anything, because I can't stand leaving with virtually nothing. A boy, I think from District 9, reaches the pack at the same time I do, and for a brief time we grapple for it, and then he coughs, splattering my face with blood. I stagger back, repulsed by the warm, sticky spray. Then the boy slips to the ground. That's when I see the knife in his back. Already other tributes have reached the cornucopia, and are spreading out to attack. Yes, the girl from District 2, 10 yards away, running toward me, one hand clutching a half dozen knives. I've seen her throw in training. She never misses. and I'm her next target. All the general fear I've been feeling condenses into an immediate fear of this girl, this predator who might kill me in seconds. Adrenaline shoots through me, and I sling the backpack over my shoulder and run full speed for the woods. I can hear the blade whistling toward me and reflexively hike the pack up to protect my head. The blade lodges in the pack. Both straps on my shoulders now, I make for the trees. Somehow, I know the girl will not pursue me, that she'll be drawn back into the cornucopia before all the good stuff is gone. A grin crosses my face. Thanks for the knife, I think. At the edge of the woods, I turn for one instant to survey the field. About a dozen or so tributes are hacking away at one another at the horn. Several lie dead, already on the ground. Those who have taken flight are disappearing into the trees or into the void opposite me. I continue running until the woods have hidden me from the other tributes, then slowly into a steady jog that I think I can maintain for a while. For the next few hours, I alternate between jogging and walking, putting as much distance as I can between myself and my competitors. I lost my bread during the struggle with the boy from District 9, but managed to stuff my plastic in my sleeve, so as I walk, I fold it neatly and tuck it into a pocket. I also free the knife. It's a fine one with a long, sharp blade, serrated near the handle, which will make it handy for sawing through things, and slide it into my belt. I don't dare stop to examine the contents of the pack yet. I just keep moving, pausing only to check for pursuers. I can go a long time. I know that from my many days in the woods, but I'll need water. That's what Hamish said, made Hamish's second instruction, and since I sort of botched the first, I keep a sharp eye out for any sign of it. No luck. The woods begin to evolve, and the pines are intermixed with a variety of trees, some I recognize, some completely foreign to me. At one point, I hear a noise and pull my knife, thinking I may have to defend myself, but I've only startled a rabbit. Good to see you, I whisper. If there's one rabbit, there could be hundreds just waiting to be snared. The ground slopes down. I don't particularly like this. Valleys make me feel trapped. I want to be high, like in the hills around District 12, where I can see my enemies approach, but I have no choice but to keep going. Funny though, I don't feel too bad. The days of gorging myself have paid off. I've got staying power, even though I'm short on sleep. Being in the woods is rejuvenating. I'm glad for the solitude, even though it's an illusion, because I'm probably on screen right now. Not consistently, but off and on. There's so many deaths to show the first day that a tribute trekking through the woods isn't much to look at, but they'll show me enough to let people know I'm alive, uninjured, and on the move. One of the heaviest days of betting is the opening, when the initial casualties come in. But that can't compare to what happens as the field shrinks to a handful of players. It's late afternoon when I begin to hear the cannons. Each shot represents a dead tribute. The fighting must have finally stopped at the cornucopia. They never collect the dead bloodbath bodies until the killers have dispersed. On the opening day, they don't even fire the cannons until the initial fighting's over, because it's too hard to keep track of the fatalities. I allow myself to pause, panting, as I count the shots. 1, 2, 3. On and on until they reach 11. 11 dead in all, 13 left to play. My fingernails scrape at the dried blood the boy from District 9 coughed into my face. He's gone, certainly. I wonder about PETA. Has he lasted the day? I'll know in a few hours, when they project the dead's images into the sky for the rest of us to see. All of a sudden, I'm overwhelmed by the thought that PETA may be already lost, blood white, collected, and in the process of being transported back to the capital to be cleaned redressed, and shipped in a simple wooden box back to District 12. No longer here. Heading home. I try hard to remember if I saw him once the action started, but the last image I can conjure up is Peter shaking his head as the gong rang out. Maybe it's better if he's already gone. He had no confidence he could win, and I will not end up the unpleasant task of killing him. Maybe it's better if he's out of this for good. I slumped down next to my pack, exhausted. I need to go through it anyway before night falls. See what I have to work with. As I unhook the straps, I can feel it sturdily made, although a rather unfortunate color. This orange will practically glow in the dark. I make a mental note to camouflage it first thing tomorrow. I flip open the flap. What I want most right at this moment is water. Hamish's directive to immediately find water was not arbitrary. I won't last long without it. For a few days, I'll be able to function with unpleasant symptoms of dehydration. But after that, I'll deteriorate into helplessness and be dead in a week tops. I carefully lay out the provisions. One thin black sleeping bag that reflects body heat, a pack of crackers, a pack of dried beef strips, a bottle of iodine, a box of wooden matches, a small coil of wire, a pair of sunglasses, and a half-gallon plastic bottle with a cap for carrying water that's bone dry. No water. How hard would it have been for them to fill up the bottle? I become aware of the dryness in my throat and mouth, the cracks in my lips. I've been moving all day long. It's been hot and I've sweat a lot. I do this at home, but there are always streams to drink from, or snow to melt if it should come to it. As I refill my pack, I have an awful thought. The lake. The one I saw while I was waiting for the gong to sound. What if that's the only water source in the arena? That way, they'll guarantee drawing us into a fight. The lake is a full day's journey from where I sit now. A much harder journey with nothing to drink. And then even if I reach it, it's sure to be heavily guarded by some of the courier tributes. I'm about to panic when I remember the rabbit I started earlier today. It has to drink too. I just have to find out where. Twilight is closing in, and I am ill at ease. The trees are too thin to offer much concealment. The layer of pine needles that muffles my footsteps almost makes tracking animals harder when I need their trails to find water. And I'm still heading downhill, deeper and deeper into the valley that seems endless. I'm hungry too, but I don't dare break into my precious store of crackers and beef yet. Instead, I take my knife and go to work on a pine tree, cutting away the outer bark and scraping off a huge handful of the softer inner bark. I slowly chew this stuff as I walk along. After a week of the finest food in the world, it's a little hard to choke down, but I've eaten plenty of pine in my life. I'll adjust quickly. In another hour, it's clear I've got to find a place to camp. Night creatures are coming out. I can hear the occasional hoot or howl, my first clue that I'll be competing with natural predators for the rabbits. As to whether I'll be viewed as a source of food, it's too soon to tell. There could be any number of animals stalking me at this moment. But right now, I decide to make my fellow tributes a priority. I'm sure many will continue hunting through the night. Those who fought it out at the cornucopia will have food, an abundance of water from the lake, torches or flashlights, and weapons they're itching to use. I can only hope I've traveled far and fast enough to be out of range. Before settling down, I take my wire and set 2 twitch-up snares in the brush. I know it's risky to be setting traps, but food will go so fast out here, and I can't set snares on the run. Still, I walk another 5 minutes before making camp.